Hello, this is section 4.3 of Math 0018. So today we're going to look at multiplying decimals. We have two objectives. We're going to multiply decimals, and then we're also going to solve application problems with decimals. So basically, these are the steps that you would go through if you were multiplying the decimals by hand. But as you've seen in the other previous sections of Chapter 4, we're going to use a calculator. So the main thing that you need to worry about is what the sign of your solution or your answer is going to be. Now, so the first step up here is a step that we will use no matter what, if you're doing it by hand or if you are using your calculator, is to determine the sign of your product first. Remember, the product is the answer to a multiplication problem. So you have to decide if it's going to be negative or positive. You would multiply, if you were doing these by hand, the numbers just like you would whole numbers, but then remember you have to count the number of decimal places in the entire problem, and that's how many decimal places should be in your final answer. So sometimes you'd have to insert zeros, but we are not going to have to do any of these steps 2 and 3 or the note underneath because we're going to use our calculators. So basically what you need to know excuse me, is the sign rules for multiplying integers. It applies also to multiplying decimals. So remember, the product of two numbers with the same sign, so if you have the same signs, the product is positive when you multiply. The product of two numbers with different signs, the answer is negative. Okay, so just like we did back in chapter 1 when we were multiplying integers, same thing. When you multiply decimals, same signs positive, different signs negative. Alright, so let's look at some of these problems. Now, this is one of those sections. If you don't have a calculator right there with you, stop the video and go get one now because you're going to need it. Alright, so we have negative 11.914 times 0.8. So we have a negative times a positive, which is going to be a negative. And we are going to just do all of this on our calculator. So multiply those two numbers together, and you should get negative 9.5312. Now, a good way to kind of just double check, and it's not going to tell you if your answer is actually totally correct, but it'll tell you if you have your decimal point in the right place. Look at how many places are in the original problem. We've got 1, 2, 3 with the 9, 1, and 4, 3 places there, and the 8 is another place, decimal places in the problem. So that's 4, and there should be 4 places, decimal places in your answer, which we do have 4 digits to the right of the decimal. So at least we know that the decimal is in the right place. Look at number 2. A negative times a negative is going to be a positive. Okay, so in your calculator you're not trying to put in any signs, you are just putting in 29.3 times 2.8. Okay, and you should get a positive 82.04. So another thing you can do when you're dealing with decimals is estimate. Okay, 29.3, if you rounded that off to a whole number, would be 29, and 2.8 rounds off to 3. Well, 29 times 3 is 87. So we rounded up on both, well, on one of those anyway. So we're in the same ballpark, 82, 87. They're not too, very, very close, but they're in the same area. So yeah, we've got the right answer there. Look at the next one, negative 6.2 times 3.7. So the signs are different, which means the answer is going to be a negative. And then multiply 6.2 times 3.7, and you get negative 22.94. Okay? And number 4, 14.567 times negative 9.4. The signs are different, so it's going to be a negative. And then put that in your calculator. So we have times 9.4, and you should get 136.9298. So make sure that you're getting the same numbers, by checking with your calculator. Okay? Number 5, find the product of 3.2, negative 13, and 1.07. All right, so product is multiplication. Okay, so we're going to multiply. We've got 3.2 times a negative 13, so that's going to be a negative answer, times another positive, the signs are different, so our final answer is going to be negative. Now, you can put all of these in. You can do 3.2 times 13 times 1.07 and then hit your equal sign, and you get a negative 44.512. All right? Number 6 says, evaluate the expression for the given value of the variable. And our expression is 12c, and when c equals 5.3. So what you're going to do is you're going to multiply 12 times 5.3. Now, both of those numbers are positive, so we just use your calculator. 12 times 5.3 is 63.6. So just make sure you plug it into the expression correctly. Now, excuse me, the next concept deals with multiplying decimals by powers of 10. So powers of 10 are numbers like 10, 100, 1000, etc. And what you have to do is you look at your power of 10, like in this case the 2.7935 times 10, there's 1 0 there. That means you're going to move the decimal point to the right one place, okay? When we have times 100, there's 2 zeros, and so we move the decimal point 2 places to the right. So you always move it the same number of places as there are zeros in your power of 10. All right? Now, that also applies when you have 10 to a certain power. So like if you look down here, the same number, 2.7935 times 10 to the first, that 1 there, that exponent, tells us I need to move that decimal point one place to the right. So then the second one, when it's times 10 to the second, that tells you 2 places. Okay? If it was 10 to the fourth, you would move the decimal point 4 places to the right. Okay? So that's how we multiply. It's a shortcut way of multiplying decimals by powers of 10. All right, so here's some examples working with those powers of 10. So we have number 1, negative 2.56 times 1000. So I've got 3 zeros here. So first of all, figure out your sign. A negative times a positive is a negative. Now, I need to move the decimal point 3 places, because there's 3 zeros, 3 places to the right. Okay, so I'm going to go whoop whoop. And yes, you have to make that funny noise when you move the decimal, okay? So I only went 2 whoops, right? So I need 1 more, so I have to add on a 0 there to go past that 0. So the decimal point is now at the end, and I'm going to have 2560. And technically the decimal point's at the end there. You don't have to write it, but, you know, if it makes you feel more comfortable, have at it. Write the decimal point there, okay? Look at number 2. 98.536 times 100. So there's 2 zeros in the power of 10. So I need to take my decimal point and I'm going to go 2 places to the right. So I'm going to go whoop whoop, just like that. Okay? So 9853.6 is what the answer is. Now, what happens if you're on the test and you totally forget the shortcut? You can still just use your calculator. Just put 98.536 times 100. It's no big deal. So it's a shortcut that's kind of cool to use, but it's not one that if you forget it, you're just going to get the problem wrong. That's not what's going to happen. All right? And just remember, if you need to add on zeros, you just do that as it's needed. Look at number 3. 123.89 times 10 to the fourth. So that 4 there is telling us I need to move that decimal point 4 places to the right. So I write 1, 2, 3. Now when I move the decimal point, I go whoop whoop. It's behind the 9 now. Well, I've only gone 2 places. So I'm going to need to add on 2 more zeros to go whoop whoop, 2 more places. Oops, sorry. Okay, so we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 0, 0 as our final answer there, which is a pretty big number. 1,238,900. Big number, okay? So, whether it's an exponent or the numbers are written out with all the zeros, that tells you how many places to move the decimal point, all right? So look at 0.9834 times 10 to the second. So that 2 there is telling us we need to move the decimal point 2 places to the right. So we go whoop whoop, and it's going to be between the 8 and the 3, 98.34. All right. So here's some application problems that we're going to look at. Susan bought 8 cans of tennis balls for $1.98 each. She paid $103 in sales tax. What was the total bill? Okay, so she bought 8 cans, okay, and each can cost $1.98. So the first thing we have to do is multiply. We need to multiply 8 times $1.98, okay? So if we multiply that, you get $15.84. Now, the sales tax was $1.03. So you have to add that on because you always pay the price of your item plus the tax plus $1.03. Okay, so we get 7, 8, 6, and 1. So the total bill was $16.87. Number 2. A book club ordered 12 books on Amazon for $8.99 each. The shipping cost was $4.95. What was the total bill? So this is the same idea as the problem we just did. We have 12 books that cost $8.99 each. So first we have to multiply 12 times $8.99. Okay? So when we multiply that, we get $107.88. Okay, so that was the total cost of the books. Now we need to add on the shipping, $4.95. So let's see here. 8 and 5 is 13. 9 and 9 is 18. 12, carry a 1. It should be $112.83 was the total bill. So let me just double check and make sure. Yep, $112.83. Number 3. Now this one, it seems kind of confusing at first, but you just have to read it a couple times. The perimeter of a square is equal to 4 times the length of a side of the square. Find the perimeter of a square whose side measures 3.8 meters. Okay, so here's what you need to see. The perimeter is equal to 4 times the length. Well, they gave us the length of the side. The side is 3.8. So what we have to do here is 4 times 3.8. Okay, so if we multiply those, we get 15.2. And if you want to be fancy, you can put the little m there for meters. Okay, and that would be the perimeter of the square. All right, number 4. You bought a car for $5,000 down and made payments for $299.50 each month for 72 months. So part A says determine the amount of the payments over the 72 months. So first they just want us to figure out how much do we make in payments, okay? So we did $299.50 each month for 72 months. So we have to multiply there, okay? So $299.50 times 72 comes up to $21,564. Okay, so that's how much you made in payments. Now, part B says determine the total cost of the car. So you have to take your payments that you made over those 72 months, but also you have to remember that you put $5,000 down when you first got the car. So you're going to add $21,564 and the $5,000 that you put down as a down payment. So you got 4, 6, 5, 6, and 2. So the total cost of the car was $26,564. Okay, so here's some U-tries for you to practice on with multiplying decimals. So pause the video and try these on your own. All right, number 1, we have a negative times a negative. So I know that's a positive. Now look at this. Look at how many decimal places are in the original problem. There's a 4, a 1, and a 2. So we have 3 decimal places total, which means that my answer should have 3 decimal places, points, digits behind the decimal point. So let's make sure we get that. 67.4 times 3.12 gives you 210.288. And there's 3 digits behind that decimal point. So that's good. Number 2, we have a negative 100 times 4.66. First of all, a negative times a positive is a negative. and I've got a power of 10 here, 2 zeros, so I can just go whoop whoop 2 places to the right, which would make it 466. Now, if you forget that rule, just use your calculator, no big deal. Number 3, a negative and a positive, the signs are different, so that's a negative, and we multiply 0.045 times 9, and we get 0.405, and it's a negative. Number 4, the two numbers are positive, so this is just right in your calculator. The only thing you can screw up there is if you hit the wrong button, so just be careful. Let's see, 3.4582. Okay, oh, that is a long answer. So we have 19.919232. There were no directions about rounding anything off or anything, so you write the whole answer down. And look, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 digits, 6 decimal places in your problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places after the decimal point. So chances are you got it. Number 5, find the product of 19, negative 2.67, and 0.9. So we have 3 numbers there, but only one negative. So when you have a positive times a negative, it's still going to be a negative, times another positive, it's going to be a negative answer. So we just multiply those. We've got 19 times 2.67 times 0.9. And gosh, I need a bigger decimal point on my calculator. Negative 45.657. Number 6. Evaluate the expression for the given values of the variables. So we have the expression 2ab for a equals negative 5.4 and b equals 6.3. So we're going to have 2 times negative 5.4 times 6.3. So I'm just going to multiply straight across. Now, we've only got one negative in there, which means that the answer is going to be a negative. Okay? So you're going to do 2 times 5.4 times 6.3, and you get 68.04. And it's a negative. We figured out the sign to begin with. Number 7, negative 4.5 times 10,000. So this is one of those shortcuts. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. So I'm going to write this 4.5 down here where I can see what I'm doing. I need to go 4 places to the right with this decimal point. So I'm going to go whoop, that's 1. Okay, so if I've only got 1 and I need 4, I'm going to need to add on 1, 2, 3 zeros so that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 places to the right. Okay, and now the decimal is at the end, and we get 45,000. Now, does anybody know what I did wrong? Aha, the sign, right? Don't forget your sign. Hey, baby, what's your sign? Okay, very important to remember the sign there. Okay, now look at number 8. We don't have to worry about any signs. So 564.32 times 10 to the third. So we need to go 3 places to the right. So we're going to go whoop whoop, and we need to go one more whoop. So we have to add on a 0 there. So 5, 6, 4, 3, 2. You want to say 1, blast off, but no, it's not right. 3, 2, 0. Okay, and that would be the answer there. 564,320. All right. Now, here we have some applications. 500 empty soft drink cans weigh 19.75 pounds. A recycling center pays 85 cents per pound for cans. Determine the amount received for the 500 cans. Round to the nearest cent. Okay, so here's the thing. The 500 doesn't matter at all. All we need is how much they weigh and how much they pay per pound. Okay, so they weigh 1975, okay, 19 75 hundredths of a pound, and then they pay 85 cents per pound. So we have point times 0.85, okay? So 19.75 times 0.85 gives you 16.7875. Now, the directions say round to the nearest cent. So remember, in money, okay, if we look at this like money, 78 cents, that's where those first two digits behind the decimal, that's your cents places. So we want to round to the 8. So since the 7 is higher than 5 or higher, we're going to round up 1, which would make that 9. So they would pay you $16.79 for those cans. All right, number 10. The tax per gallon of gasoline in Texas is 0.478. If you fill your gas tank with 15.4 gallons of gas in Texas, how much will you pay in taxes? Round to the nearest cent. Okay? So, we have 15.4 gallons and the tax is 0.478 per gallon. So we're going to multiply 0.478 times the 15.4 gallons. So we need to multiply there 0.478 and times the 15.4. So we get 7.3612. Now the directions say to round to the nearest cent. Well, the 6 is in the cents place because the 7.36, that's your money right there. The 1 is less than 5, so that's not going to round up our 6 at all. So it would be $7.36. That's how much you pay in taxes in Texas. All right? Number 11. A 12-pack of soda sells for $5.95. State whether to use multiplication or division to find the specified amount. Okay, so if we want to find the cost of 1 can of soda, well, if we know 12 of them cost $5.95, to find 1 can, you're going to have to divide it because you're figuring out what's the cost of each individual one. You're cutting it into equal parts. So part A is division. Okay? Now, part B, there's an A there. That's a boo-boo. That should be a B. Sorry about that. I know numbers. I'm not so good with letters. What can I tell you? The cost of 5 12-packs of soda. So, if we take one 12-pack costs $5.95, but you want to buy 5 of them, you have to multiply, right? So you would have to use multiplication, which is a very long word. Good thing I can spell, huh? And that might be it. Let's see. Yes, it is. We are now done with this section.